Well, I think it was inevitable because of our shared passion for reaching unreached peoples for Christ. I never heard the gospel for the first 23 years of my life, and when I did, it transformed my life in a radical way, and I began to pray for laborers in the harvest, and God allowed me to leave an engineering career to do that, and began to pray that there would be opportunities to partner with others and to find ways that we could reach the unreached peoples of the world. And during 45 years of ministry, I've lived overseas and I've ministered to unreached people groups, but in the latter stages of my ministry, living here in Charlotte, I realized that God is bringing the world to us, that Charlotte is one of the top 2 international growing cities. And so how are we going to reach the people that God is bringing to our city from around the world, that they can then go back and go out and evangelize the world? And the strategy that God led our organization, which I started 3 years ago, was to place chaplains in low-income apartment complex where there's large concentrations of immigrant refugees. The study of our city said that the most underserved people in our city are those that are immigrant refugees. And so we began to place chaplains sponsored by churches in these apartment complexes to do 5 things: after-school tutoring, summer camps, sports programs, family stabilization, and spiritual enrichment, doing Bible studies and building a bridge from the sponsoring church to the apartment complex. And it's been a great adventure, and through that adventure, where we do large outreach events in the apartment complex, we came in contact with Christ of All Peoples as a way to go door to door, sharing the Jesus film, sharing Bibles, and reaching the people there. And we found that these underserved people are some of the most receptive people in the community because they're grateful for everything that the community does to help them as foreigners be a part of community and be supported. And it's been a wonderful relationship with Christ for All People to not only utilize the resources that they've provided for us, but also the volunteers that love to share Christ. And Phil has just a way about him that attracts people that want to do that, and it's been wonderful to partner together. Well, it certainly has a vision and a heart to reach people effectively cross-culturally. And to do that, you need some kind of tool or bridge to reach good communication cross-culturally. And the Jesus film that has been used around the world and probably seen by 1 billion people is that tool that is effective, whether it's in India, across the world, or here in Charlotte, right here. Well, I do believe that the most important thing is holistic ministry of discipleship, that's what Jesus called to do. So discipleship begins with evangelism, but often we go from the outside, whether it's going door to door and try to evangelize people, and we may have some success, but unless there is some trust built, there is not the desire for discipleship by most people. And so our incarnational ministry, where we have chaplains and pastors living among the people incarnationally, serving them holistically, provides a perfect opportunity for discipleship. And Christ for All Peoples is an important part of that by allowing us to reach new people, whether it's in our events or going door to door and welcoming people, giving them gifts, loving on them, sharing the gospel through the film, and then living among them, we have opportunities for discipleship, especially among the children, and that's what Jesus said. Jesus declared to allow the children to come unto me, and I think that's what is so important, what we do. I think children are most receptive to the gospel and most teachable, and so they're a great opportunity then to reach the whole family once you reach the children. There are many ways that people can get involved with Christ for All Peoples by volunteering with the organization in cooperation with local churches. They can support it financially. They can encourage their churches to support it financially. They can go with Christ for All Peoples because it's not just active here, it's active around the world, and so there are opportunities to participate both locally and globally with them. I think we all want, as believers, want to do what God has called us to do. God has specifically called me to evangelize and disciple those that are without the gospel, and I have found the best fishing holes are the people that are underserved or are the minorities or the broken people of the nations in the world, and that's where God has led me, whether they are in prison, whether they are in addiction, whether they are the poor, whether they are the isolated. And that's why, God has called me to work with underserved children and families in our city and around the world, and it's a joy to do that because I was a broken person without the gospel for 23 years, and it about destroyed my life. I would just say, you see the heart of the ministry through the leader, through the person that God's called. And it's a privilege to call Phil my friend because I see his heart and his passion for building the ministry and the kingdom of God. We're excited with what God has called us to do with the Learning Help Centers because immigrants tend to gather around their own communities in apartment complexes, and usually it is the low-income apartment complexes in cities around our country, and we have found tremendous receptivity through placing incarnational pastors and leaders to live among those people, learn their language, learn their customs, love on them, and share the gospel, whether it's through the Jesus film or just through their lives. We would love people to come to our website at www.lhcclt.org and see testimonies. I'll just give you one. A young girl, undocumented, 10 years old, came with her family from Mexico, didn't know the language, was not helped in school, failed the 3rd grade, was taking the 3rd grade again and felt like she could not do it, could not be helped. So she had her older brother Mario put provocative pictures of her on the Facebook to be trafficked, and was invited by a friend to our after-school tutoring and began to come in, and one volunteer worked with her one whole evening and taught her how to do place values. She had taken the 3rd grade twice and never learned how to do place values, was trying to do all her math on her fingers. And when she learned place values, it was like something went off in her head, and she said, I can do this. And all of a sudden she's making honor roll, coming to church, her whole family got saved. She's brought others to the tutoring program, and now she's helping younger kids, and her life is transformed. The pictures are down from Facebook, and a life is saved, and that's just one example, and that's what you can do as a volunteer. The Learning Help Center can be reached at www.lhcclt.org.
If you know of a ministry that we need to know about, please give us a call, 888-641-8606, or take a look at our website, revelationstv.org.